Santa Clara County Sheriff Lori Smith, and I'll be providing a statement updating the public about recent developments in the investigation of the death of 31-year-old Michael James Tyree. Mr. Tyree was in custody at Santa Clara County Main Jail for misdemeanor theft and drug possession. I know that you'll understand, due to the ongoing nature of the investigation, that I'll be unable to provide additional information beyond what is contained in this statement. As for additional information that's deemed releasable, as it comes up, I'll be able to provide you with that information. Before I go much further, I want to express my profound sorrow over the loss of Mr. Tyree and remind everyone that Mr. Tyree was someone's son, someone's brother, and that his life had value. And that this vile and cowardly act took Mr. Tyree's life is not indicative of values that we expect and honor with the men and women of this department, and that wear this uniform so proudly, those that are sworn to protect and serve. And we protect and serve the entire public, including those incarcerated and anyone for any reason. Earlier today, I had an opportunity to speak with two of Mr. Tyree's sisters. I was able to express my sincere apologies for the death of their brother at the hands of 3 of our deputies. To express our deepest sympathies for their loss and to offer resources of our office for whatever they need, whenever they need it. As sheriff, it's my sworn duty and the sworn duty of every deputy to follow every lead, no matter where that lead takes the investigation, to bring those that we believe are guilty to justice. It is what the sheriff's office did in this case. The disappointment and disgust that I feel cannot be overstated, because our investigation has concluded that 3 correctional deputies, Jerry Lubin, Matthew Ferris, and Rafael Rodriguez, are the reason for this brutal murder of Michael Tyree. Lubin, Ferris, and Rodriguez were placed under surveillance by our deputies. Ferris and Rodriguez were arrested this morning around 5:30 a.m. Mr. Lubin self-surrendered with his attorney at 7:30. The suspects were searched, handcuffed, read their rights, and provided an opportunity to give a statement to our detectives. Mr. Lubin, Mr. Ferris, and Mr. Rodriguez each declined to provide a statement. Each invoked their Fifth Amendment constitutional right against self-incrimination, and each has asked for their lawyer. After refusing to give a statement, each accused murderer was booked, fingerprinted, and photographed at the Santa Clara County Main Jail, the very same jail where they're accused of taking the life of an inmate they swore to protect. Each of the accused was then placed in protective custody for their protection and have been transferred to a jail outside of Santa Clara County. The charges against each subject are murder, assault under the color of authority, and conspiracy. The accused were provided with no special treatment, and the process, procedures, and protocols were followed just like they are in any other arrest of an accused felon. I'm unable to disclose all of the evidence that points to the culpability of these 3 individuals, but it's unmistakable that Jerry Lubin, Matthew Ferris, and Rafael Rodriguez committed this cowardly and heinous act against an unarmed individual they were entrusted to protect. From the outset of the investigation into Mr. Tyree's death, the Sheriff's Office has conducted a thorough and professional investigation. We've utilized all of our assets to track down every lead. As I previously stated, the investigation is continuing. I made the decision after thoughtful consideration and consultation with our investigative team, command staff, that the 3 accused must be taken off the streets as soon as possible, and that has occurred. The following are details regarding the incident and our investigation that we can share with you so far. Mr. Tyree was in custody for misdemeanor drug possession and theft. He was housed on the 6th floor of the main jail in the 6B wing. This wing is typically reserved for inmates who are in protective custody or those with special needs. On the evening of Wednesday, August 26th, correctional deputies Lubrin and Ferris began a routine clothing search for inmate cells in the 6B wing. Approximately 10 minutes later, Deputy Rodriguez joined Lubrin and Ferris in searching inmate cells. At this point in time, all inmates are securely locked in their cells, and the 3 suspects are the only staff in the 3B wing. And Mr. Tyree was housed in a single-person cell. Approximately 20 minutes later, all 3 suspects exited the 6B wing. No other individual entered the 6B wing. About an hour later, on Thursday, October 27th, Correctional Deputy Lubrin re-enters 6B to conduct a routine welfare check of inmates. A few minutes after entering the 6B wing, Lubrin issues a man down call over his radio. According to Lubrin's own incident report, he discovered Tyree's body on the floor of his cell. Mr. Tyree was naked and covered in feces and vomit. At this point, Rafael Rodriguez enters 6B and allegedly assists Lubrin in dragging Mr. Tyree's body out of the cell, and CPR is administered in an unsuccessful attempt to revive Mr. Tyree. Shortly after, Lubrin and Rodriguez are joined by numerous jail staff, including nurses, other correctional deputies who continue to perform CPR and utilize the AED device, attempting to again resuscitate Mr. Tyree. San Jose Fire and County Ambulance personnel arrive on the scene approximately 11 minutes from the first man-down radio transmission. They further attempt to resuscitate Mr. Tyree. They're unsuccessful, and Mr. Tyree is declared dead on the scene by EMS personnel at about 15 minutes later. After Mr. Tyree was declared dead, normal procedures for in-custody deaths were followed, which includes on-site staff contacting the Jail Crimes Detective Unit, Sheriff's Office Homicide Unit, our CSI unit, the District Attorney's Homicide on-call unit. The scene was secured, and the normal investigative protocol, in-custody death protocol began. At this point, the body was preserved at the scene until a medical examiner arrives, and evidence at the scene is preserved for the crime scene detectives. Medical examiner Dr. O'Hara arrived at the scene and was able to view Mr. Tyree and make observations from the scene. The medical examiner then took custody of Mr. Tyree, and sheriff's investigators continued a thorough investigation of the incident. Later that same Thursday, August 27th, after viewing video evidence, interviews, examination of other evidence, investigators began to believe that the circumstances surrounding Mr. Tyree's death were suspicious and that he may not have died from natural causes. Rather, they believe he may have died as a result of foul play, and that correctional deputies Lubin, Ferris, and Rodriguez may be involved. Those deputies were the only people, including staff and inmates, who last had contact with Mr. Tyree prior to the man-down radio transmission. At this point, my command staff and I decided to place correctional deputies on administrative leave and remove them from the main jail facility as soon as possible. The correctional deputies had begun working their scheduled shift the same day, the day after Mr. Tyree's death. When they were removed from the building, they were stripped of their badges, their equipment, their peace officer status, and denied access to all sheriff's office facilities. The correctional deputies now are currently on unpaid administrative leave as a result of their arrests. The next day, on the afternoon of Friday, August 28th, Dr. O'Hara from the medical examiner's office provided a preliminary update on the autopsy to the sheriff's office. Upon receiving Dr. O'Hara's preliminary findings, the investigation in this case proceeded in this case as a homicide investigation. On Saturday, August 29th, the sheriff's office detectives executed search warrants at the homes of the 3 suspects in order to gather additional information. On the afternoon of Monday, August 31st, County Medical Examiner, Dr. O'Hara, updated the investigative team, including the Sheriff's Office and the District Attorney's Office, that Mr. Tyree's death appeared to be a result of internal bleeding due to blood force trauma.